Guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Haven't made one in a while. I have been lacking and I do apologise for that. But I know I did a video about 4 weeks ago, about a month ago, about predicting the rest of the 2024 AFL season. And it did pretty well. Got 60 views, and with 2 rounds to go, as this season been one of the most tight years in the competition's history, I feel as though we should go back and predict every single game the next 2 rounds to see who can make the top 8 in some do-or-die clashes, and some maybe upsets might be on the way. So let's look at the top 8 let's look at the ladder before these first 2 rounds. And coming in at number 1, Sydney have been number 1 pretty much all year. They had a little bit of a spur bad form before, but they're back and they're 15-6 as well. If they win this game, they're most likely making first. Port second have just jumped up and exceeded my expectations. I thought they were going to miss out on the 8 about 6 weeks ago. GWS once again have also exceeded my expectations. They're a lock for the finals now. Geelong, they played really well the last couple of weeks. Have won some good games in fourth. Fifth is Brisbane. What a season they're having after a bad start. Did lose last week. They've just got to keep on winning. They cannot lose the next 2 games. Got to win one of them. You expect Freo, they're starting at 4, and it'll be interesting to see if they make finals. I'll see if I can predict them though. And the Dogs, you feel as though that they might need to get through one game. You think they'll beat North, but they've just got to get through. They've got to get through the Giants, which would be an interesting game. The Hawks in 8th have the easiest run home out of every single body, but still, I'm a little bit nervous because you never know. It's 2024 and it's got some bad results. Carlton out the 8. Their 9th season is on the cusps. Then you've got Essendon, whose season looks as though it's pretty much over. Collingwood's season looks the same. Looks as though it's pretty much over. Gold Coast in 12. Can they make a good run to the end of the year? Melbourne 13th. St Kilda 14th. Adelaide 15th. West Coast 16th. Who have decided to have a really good year. North 17th. And Richmond 18th. So that is very nice to see it early in the game. But with 2 rounds to go, I'm going to predict every game, 18, next 18 games. 18 is in the competition, 18 games. Who makes the top 8? You feel it's probably in contention from Essendon, in my opinion. Down, or probably from the only 5th to 10th, they're not all locked. They're not locked in. From 5th, they're not locked in. I think Geelong is probably locked in, but the top 4 are probably locked in. Like those 4 teams in the top 4 will be locked in now. Brisbane could jump in the top 4, but I think those top 4 teams are pretty much locked. But yeah. Brisbane, Freo, Dogs, Hawthorn, Carlton, Essendon. I still think Essendon can still make the finals, but they've got to win the next 2 games. And they're versing the best team in the competition, Marvel Stadium. This game will be really interesting, though, in my liking. I think Essendon, I know they had last week's game, but they're still not in terrible form. They did beat Fremantle, but to be fair, Freo are in some terrible form. But they lost to Gold Coast by a point. They won a game by a point, and they lost a game by a point. Look, Essendon's had a really bad year. Let's be real. They had a really good start to the year, and they fell off. I mean, I probably should predict every year. I'm predicting Essendon to be around 12th, because that's where they always are. They're always a middle-of-the-road team, the 4th most experienced team in the competition, and they probably won't make finals. That is really, really sad. So if you're Essendon, you've got to make a lot of decisions in the off-season. Your season isn't quite done, but it almost looks like it is. You need to win the next 2, and their percentage is woeful. It's the worst percentage out of these top 10 teams by a long, long way, and goes to Carlton and Hawthorn next, but still some good percents along the way. This has been a really, 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 really bad year for Essendon. Well, had a good start to the year, but they've obviously just fallen away. Sydney, as they were a great year, they were flying high towards, from round 6. I think they won every game, round 4, I think, when they lost the round 4. That's what it was round 4, where they just picked up steam, didn't they? I think it was after Gavin round, and round 4, round 14, they didn't lose. And I think they lost game to Freo, and the bad form started. They lost to St Kilda, and they lost some really, really big games. And then they got to 112 point smashing to Port Adelaide, who boosted them up to 12. That boosted them up to second. They'd probably be 4th if that would happen. But still, Sydney won last week in a game that they probably shouldn't have won. Collingwood should have won that, but they came back. Isaac Heaney. Chad Warner isn't playing this game. He was enormous last week. Golden was tagged. If you're Essendon, what you got to do to win this game is tag Golden and just try and lock down Heaney. Without Warner, Grundy's going to be a factor. I don't know. Do I see Sydney win this game? I probably could. I think Sydney probably should win this game, but I can see Essendon win this game. Away from home, the Swannies, they don't have Chad Warner. I have a feeling that Essendon will just come out knowing their season will be still alive. They'll win by 6 points, and Sydney's top hopes are still not over. I think Sydney should win, but I just feel Essendon, just with Chad Warner going down, I feel Essendon can just pluck a win here. The next game, Gold Coast versus Melbourne. Yeah, Melbourne's season's over. They're just playing for pride at the moment. They're just playing crap. I think that's one of bet worst pick. I don't think Melbourne will be trying to win this game at all. I think they might even want to go down to maybe 15th at least. They want to get a good draft pick, Melbourne. Let's be real. So, Vakic Petrarca this year. Clayton Oliver's ruled out for the year. You've got really, who's in the midfield? So, let's be real. They've been pounded by injuries against their star players. The best player, Christian Petrarca, went down with a season-ending injury in that Queen's birthday clash. Everything that has gone wrong for the Demons has gone wrong. They were in a very good spot before the Queen's birthday clash. They won that. They're going to, I think, be back in the top 4. But I just feel it's smashing for Gold Coast. I feel like they'll get a 60 point or something smashing because they are in some real tip-top form. They lost to West Coast the week prior, and Damien Hardwick said, you know, lads, let's go to Marvel. We haven't won away from home in like ages. We haven't won to Melbourne for like 400 days. Let's go away from home and let's beat the Bombers. And they did exactly that. They beat the Bombers in a massive, massive game. So I just feel a massive win for the Gold Coast here. I feel like a 50-point win, which bumps them up to 11th. And Melbourne's pretty much season's over for them, so they won't really shine. Next game, probably the most interesting game of the entire round. Probably the game of the week, in my opinion. Giants versus Freo. If you said to me 3 weeks ago Freo might miss the finals, 12-8-1, with the last 2 rounds they have, I would be, no way. And if you said to me 7 weeks ago, Giants are the third in the ladder, I would say no. But the tides have changed. I thought you probably would have said Giants are 7, 6, and Freo are third. No, Freo in some appalling form. Josh Chasey is set to miss 1 more week. And if that happens, I seriously don't think it's Freo. I think Freo could have a chance, but I seriously think they'll just get shut out today. I think they'll be absolutely... I think the Giants will let Freo in the game for the first half, and they'll call themselves back in. I think it'll be a very tight game. I think Freo might lead at half-time. But after that, I think Giants will just dominate. They'll dominate the last half like they have for the last 2 games. Against Hawthorn, they charge back in the last term. Against Brisbane, they charge back in the last term. They can do it now. I don't know if Adam Kingsley wants them to do that. The fans probably don't want them to do that. They're probably having heart attacks every single time they play. But I feel as they do the Giants, it'll be a close game, but I think a 3-goal win for the Giants. As though now it looks as though Fremantle's season is on the cusp. Collingwood versus the Lions. Grand final rematch. It's a big game. I don't think it's game of the week because Collingwood's season is pretty much finished. But you never know. You never know in 2024. They need to win both their games. And they definitely could. They definitely could. MCG against Brisbane. They win this game, Collingwood. Their season's not over. I'll put it that way. Brisbane, after a bad game last week against the Giants, who are probably one of the best teams in the competition, I don't think it's a sweat. You won 9 games, and you didn't lose a game for 11 games. You had won 9 in a row. I think it's fine if you lose a game. And honestly, I think the Lions will come out this week more hungry for a top 4 spot because they let a top 2 spot and maybe even a top 1 spot slip. Maybe first spot slip. So they'll come out hungry. I know the Pies will come out hungry as well, but Collingwood just sometimes have come out and have looked pale, stale. I think as though their season's over, Collingwood, and they got stuffed with a 50-minute penalty. But I say, remember the North game, Collingwood. Yeah, remember that. So I reckon the Lions just absolutely come out and they just have a really good close game by like got 3 points, and the Lions just cement themselves and end Collingwood's season right then and there. The next game, St Kilda versus the Cats, I think will be really close. I think the St Kilda are in some really good form. They've won some big games. They did get that smashing against Brisbane, but Brisbane are one of the best teams in competition. While the Cats are in some really good form. They've won 2 good games in a row. They beat the Crows and they beat Freo. I think they might have won the week prior as well. I'm not quite sure. But the Cats are in some good form. They're always win close now. But honestly, when Patrick Dangerfield puts out a performance like that, like he did in the weekend, you look good. Jessica Cameron could be firing. Carson Stengel, he could be firing as well. I think the Saints would want to win. I think the Saints want to end the season at least with 1 or 2 more wins of the season. I reckon they might. But I think the Cats are in some really good form. I think our Docklands, I will want to say the Saints will. I want to say the Saints will win, but I think the Saints will put up a really good performance against a good Geelong outfit, and they'll just lose by 3 points. But the Saints next year will be a dangerous side, I reckon. The Showdown, everyone's favourite game if you live in South Australia. Yeah, it's a pretty good game. Adelaide Oval, Port versus the Crows. The Crows' season's pretty much over. It got really good last week, however. They did put out a really, really, really good performance against one of the best teams competition, the Western Bulldogs, and it maybe put a big dent in their season. With the last game in Adelaide of the year, maybe if Port get a home final, then it won't be. But Port are out the top 4. They need to win this game, and their final chances are still dangling. They win this game, they're cemented. The Crows, they play well in showdowns. I really can see this going either way. I think Port have got all the better players. They've got all the stars, and the stars should be firing for this game. So I still think Port will win this game. I think the Crows will put out a good performance. That's why I think it'll only be a very, very close game. But Port will win and go back to second on the ladder. The Dogs versus North Melbourne. The Dogs are once again on the cusp of maybe missing finals because they lose this game. It already feels like their season's over. With that good of a percentage, you've probably missed a top 4 spot in the 2024 AFL season. North Melbourne, how much are they trying? Really? How much are you trying now? You maybe want to finish bottom. So I say if Richmond loses this week by plenty and you lose this week by plenty, there's a chance you still finish bottom. So if I'm North Melbourne, I would lose the next 2 games. I wouldn't even try. So I feel like this game, I'm not even going to go in it much. The Dogs will win it by plenty. They'll win it by so much. And I just don't see North putting up a performance. Same with this game. The Hawks are in very, very good form, man. 9th on the ladder at this point. They started the round at 8th. But I feel like they have a really, 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 really good performance against the Tigers. I feel like it's a game I could be scared of, but it's against the Tigers. I think I'm overreacting, so I think the Hawks get a big, big win and go to 7th on the ladder. And this game, one of the most interesting games of the week, West Coast versus Carlton. I think West Coast, in all of the mid to the season, Carlton has got so much injuries piling on, pressure on their team. West Coast come out and put a 3-point game, 3-point win over Carlton, and pretty much look as though their season is over. So round 24, we'll do the ladder after the round. Round 24, first game, Gabba. At the Gabba, Essendon's season isn't quite over yet. They win this game, they might actually make the finals, crazy enough that sounds. But I think Brisbane win the game, and they do at home at the Gabba. I don't see Brisbane losing that, and it ends Carlton's Essendon season unless they lose by so much. Carlton versus Saints. Once again, Carlton got so much injuries. The Saints are in good form. The Saints will end Carlton's 2024 season after a disappointing end, cementing Hawthorn's final chances and the Dogs with that loss. Crazy. The next game, down at Cardinia Park, doesn't really matter. I think the Cats will win that game by, 30 points. Cats will get a big win. They go first now. Next game, York Park. Hawthorn are in the finals pretty much, but it's about where they're going to finish. I think Hawthorn will beat North Melbourne, puts Hawthorn now in 6th spot on the 2024 ladder. Next game, Collingwood versus the Demons. Demons, I think Demons will get absolutely I think Demons will get demolished, but Pies will have a good game and go back to 11th. At the MCG, Richmond won't try to win. I think Gold Coast win that game pretty comfortably in the end. At the SCG, Sydney win the game, and this game is massive. 5th versus 7th. Whoever wins this game, Dogs win this game, they go 6th, and they'll host Hawthorn in a qualifying final, for elimination final. If the Giants win, they make the top 8. They make top 4. Giants beat Dogs. I just have a feeling. Perth Stadium, yeah, I think Port win. That is my 2024 AFL ladder season, people. So, in my opinion, you only need 12 wins to make it. Actually, no, sorry. I changed my tip for a win. So, the 2024 finals, here they are. 1st Sydney, 2nd Giants, 3rd Geelong, 4th Brisbane, 5th Port, 6th Hawthorn, 7th Freo, and 8th Bulldogs. Essendon and Carlton narrowly missing out. So, these are the final predictions. I think Sydney will beat the Lions. Port to beat the Dogs in the elimination final. Hawthorn to beat Fremantle. Giants to beat the Cats. Lions to beat Port. Hawthorn to beat the Cats in a thriller. Then Sydney to beat Hawthorn. Brisbane Giants to beat Brisbane in a Sydney Derby game. I had the Giants winning the 2024 AFL Premiership season. That is my last two rounds in full detail. I hope you guys enjoy. See ya.